When were you born?
December 13th, 1969.
What was your branch of service and your rank? And what war were you?
I was in the Navy and I was in Desert Storm.
Where did you serve?
I was on a ship. It was a guided missile frigate stationed out of Long Beach, but I did a Westpac. We traveled all over the world, basically.
Were you drafted or did you enlist?
I enlisted.
Where were you living at the time?
Huntington Beach.
Why did you join?
I was trying to get hired on the fire department, and it was really tough to get hired. So I basically went into the fire department of the Navy to get the military experience and get firefighting experience as well.
Why did you pick the service branch you joined?
Well, I was initially going to go into the Marines. My father was a Marine, and when I talked to him about it, he said I was crazy. He says, you grew up in Huntington Beach next to the water your whole life. You go into the Marines, you could end up in the middle of some god-awful country. If you're in the Navy, you're going to be in the middle of the ocean or you're going to be on the coast somewhere. Made sense. He was right. I love the ocean. It was a perfect fit.
Do you recall your first days in the service?
Absolutely. The discipline, and I think it was actually easy for me because I'd heard so many stories from my dad. I had different expectations in the Navy. I wanted to do a lot of things, but the discipline and just being around people from all over the country, the different personalities, was cool.
What was your boot camp and training experiences like?
Lack of sleep. Lots of waiting in lines, standing in lines, getting shots, inoculations 2 or 3 days every week. You'd be up at 4 in the morning, cleaning toilets, scrubbing floors. It's just a lot of physical work, a lot of marching, and a lot of just standing still at attention.
Do you remember your instructors?
Yeah. 2 Filipino guys. For little guys, they were yellers, man. That was crazy. They were like little chihuahuas. They were good guys. I mean, they were fair. It was a good experience.
So you served in the Gulf War, right?
I did.
Where exactly did you go?
We left Long Beach, went from Long Beach to Hawaii, from Hawaii to the Philippines, from the Philippines to Thailand, from Thailand to India, from India to the Gulf, the Persian Gulf, through the Straits of Hormuz. And then we left there, went back to Thailand, then from there to Mauritius, into a small island called Diego Garcia, which is a U.S.-British naval base. There's no civilians. It's in the middle of the Indian Ocean. It's a tiny little horseshoe. It doesn't even show up on most maps. The most beautiful place I've ever been in my life. It was unbelievable. From there to Mauritius, back to the Philippines, Hawaii, and then home.
Do you remember arriving and what it was like?
Getting to the Philippines and Thailand, the first thing that hits you is the humidity. You're just always sweating. Just kind of get used to it. And the bugs. The mosquitoes are gnarly over there. And they're big. They will pick up a small child and fly away with them. That was the only downside. But the people were nice, and the language in every country, especially the Philippines, wasn't bad. But Thailand was a challenge. The people in Thailand did not speak very good English.
What was your job assignment?
I was a firefighter. So I was in charge of maintaining all the firefighting equipment. We had dewatering equipment, atmospheric testing equipment, shoring equipment, and then we had to train the rest of the crew on the ship. I was what they call a damage controlman. That was my job. There was only 2 of us on the ship out of 270 guys. Well, if the thing catches on fire, we need everybody to put the fire out. So everybody needs to be trained in damage control. So we would conduct weekly training, train the crew of the ship on firefighting procedures, dewatering procedures, de-smoking, things like that.
Did you see any combat?
Yes and no. We had 4 helicopters attached to our ship. We were sending airstrikes, Stinger missiles. Physically, I was on a ship in the middle of the Gulf, so you're not seeing like what the Army and the Marines are seeing. At night, you would see, it looked like 4th of July. You could see the missiles and stuff. It was crazy. I didn't see anything up close and personal, any actual casualties or anything like that.
What are your most memorable experiences?
The day that elephant picked me up, we were at an elephant show and the elephants were doing all these tricks, and my buddy told me, oh, go stand next to the elephant and get your picture taken with him. Well, my other buddy told the trainer, said, have the elephant pick him up. So I wasn't expecting it, and all of a sudden the elephant grabbed me and picked me up. Oh my God! You know what was crazy? The day we were entering the Persian Gulf, going through the Straits of Hormuz, I have never seen the ocean more still in my life. There wasn't a ripple in the ocean as far as you can see. All of a sudden, one of the guys says, oh my God, look down. There were hundreds of sea snakes big, like 6, 7 foot, and they were going nuts. And someone ran into the galley, that's the kitchen, and grabbed a bunch of raw meat and was throwing it over, and the snakes were going nuts. A little while later, they kind of went away. Wouldn't see them as much. Thousands of dolphin. I mean, and to see them, and growing up in Huntington Beach, you see dolphin all the time. But to see these tiny little cute little adorable, thousands of them. I've never seen so many in my life. And then the monkeys in Thailand, and they have these big open air bars. One minute there's guys kickboxing. The next minute some guys dumping bags of snakes out, and he's wrestling snakes. The next minute, like I'm standing there and all of a sudden I get bumped of little baby elephants walking through the bar. I'm like, what? When we were in India, we're on a bus driving through the town. The traffic was out of control. The bus was literally driving on the sidewalk. I look over, all these cars. There's a giant ox pulling a cart of produce with all the cars everywhere. Mauritius, the dodo bird. I thought the dodo bird was something on Popeye. You work a lot of long hours, but it's worth it. You get to see the world. You have great medical insurance and great dental insurance. I mean, you don't make a lot of money, but you get to see the world. It was unbelievable. It's something that I probably would have never been able to do.
Were you awarded any medals?
Yeah, I got medals for shooting, sharpshooting. Anybody that serves in a war, you get a ribbon for that campaign. I got the National Defense, and then the Operation Iraqi Freedom.
What was life in the service like?
Life in the service is just a lot of work. Pretty much all you do, you get up early, reveille, and you have what they call muster in the morning. That was usually at 7:15, and you would go over your orders of the day. You would discuss any maintenance. Each workshop meets individually. I was in the engineering department, and there was 8 of us in my shop, and we would each talk about what we were doing, our individual job. And you'd usually work till 5 or 6 o'clock. You'd have a lunch break, just like every other job. If things need to be done, it wouldn't be uncommon to work till midnight. The captain of the ship is constantly inspecting the ship. There's weekly inspections that he's doing, inspections we do. It's just a continuing cycle. It's just work. When you go into port, I said, we went to the Philippines. The Philippines for us is a working port. And what that means is when we're there, it's just like when we're in Long Beach. We work. If you're not on duty, then after work, you can go into town and go out to dinner, do whatever. Whereas when we were in Thailand and India and Mauritius, that's what they call a holiday port. So unless you're on duty, you're gone first thing in the morning. You meet at muster in the morning to make sure nobody fell overboard in the middle of the night. They do a head count. Other than that, you pretty much can go sightseeing and do whatever you want.
How did you stay in touch with your family?
Letters. We didn't have internet back then. So everything was done snail mail. And it's harder because you're on a ship. Usually we would have to wait to pull into port before our mailman on our ship could take everything, all the letters we'd written to a post office in whatever town we're in. And then also they make arrangements for us to pick up mail when we pull into these ports. Sometimes we'll have a helicopter come in and drop off pallets of food, provisions, supplies. It may be tools and stuff that we need, and sometimes mail.
What was the food like?
It wasn't bad. It wasn't as good as my mom and dad's cooking. The Navy has a reputation for having good food. They have better food than all the other branches of the service.
Did you have plenty of supplies?
Absolutely. If we needed something, they got it.
Did you feel any pressure or stress?
Not necessarily. You would have to get things ready for inspections and stuff. So there was a little bit of pressure, but it was nothing overwhelming.
How did people entertain themselves?
We played a lot of cards. We had a cruise lounge, and that's where all the bunks, all the sleeping areas are. And then you have the actual lounge itself, and there's a TV in there, a couple round tables with chairs, and then there's a couch. We did a lot of betting in the lounge because you're out in the middle of the ocean, but you're still getting paychecks. You have nowhere to spend your money. We did have a little ship store. It was really funny, actually. It was like a walk-up window, about as big as that opening. The guy had everything. You'd spend a little bit of money there, but you'd gamble a lot. That's what we did to kill time. When we were on the ship, when we were in port, you were off partying. You were having fun.
Were there entertainers?
No, but we made our own entertainment. On Sundays, once a month, we would have what they call a Steel Beach picnic. On the back or the aft end of the ship is the flight deck. So they would roll out these big barbecues and big DJ equipment. You'd have free sodas because we had a soda machine on the ship, but we'd have to pay for them. But on the Steel Beach picnics, we'd get them for free. But they'd barbecue hamburgers and hot dogs, and we would shoot skeet off the back of the ship. They'd have a clay pigeon launcher, and we'd shoot clay pigeons. It was kind of fun. Listen to music, and guys would dance.
Do you recall any humorous or unusual events?
We did some dumb things. We had a chief, he was crazy about Lucky Charms. Had to have Lucky Charms every morning for breakfast. If he didn't get them, he was pissed. One of the newer recruits that works the chief's mess forgot to order Lucky Charms one time, and the chief went crazy, got in so much trouble, and this, all you gotta do is order Charms. So one night, in the middle of the night, I dumped the box. He had a brand new box of Lucky Charms. Took me hours. I picked out every marshmallow treat and just put the grain part of the cereal back in the box. And I ate all the marshmallows. I got sick to my stomach. They were so good. So the next morning when he went to have his cereal, he lost his. When you're out in the middle of the ocean, you gotta find entertainment, you know? And you do. It's neat.
Do you recall the day your service ended?
Oh yeah. It was as great of an experience as it was being in the Navy. It was a great feeling knowing I was getting out. Went straight to the beach and went surfing. Went down to Main Street, hooked up with all my friends at Chuck Dent, an old surf shop that used to sponsor me. And I remember surfing and thinking, oh my God, I'm a free man.
What did you do in the days and weeks afterward?
I went into the restaurant business. I immediately got hired at a new restaurant that was opening up in Huntington Beach. Started working there, and I was making really good money. And I finally just gave up on the fire department and realized I loved the restaurant business.
Was your education supported by the GI Bill?
Yeah, and you know what? I blew it. I never took advantage of that, and that was really foolish of me. That's one of my regrets.
Did you make any close friendships while you were in the service?
No, I didn't. I made some friendship. There's one guy that I've recently reconnected with, but no. It's hard because everybody lives all over the country.
What did you go on to do as a career after the war?
I built homes off and on for quite a few years, actually. I owned my own business for a while. I had a home inspection business. But honestly, my true love really is the restaurant business.
Did your military experience influence your thinking about military in general?
It probably did without me even realizing it. I definitely have a greater appreciation for what the military does for our country. I had a father that served in the military. I knew a little bit about it, but nobody truly knows until they do it. And to experience it and live it, it's a whole different deal. And to see how hard they work and how underpaid they are. I mean, granted, I was able to travel the world, and that was priceless. It would have cost a fortune to do what I did. Very lucky to have that, but to be away from your family on all the holidays. I'll never forget my 21st birthday. I was in the middle of the ocean, and my first Christmas and Thanksgiving and Easter away from my family. That was hard because our family is very close. You know, we're together every holiday.
How did your service and experiences affect your life?
For me, it taught me a lot of discipline, structure. I got a lot of that from my parents, though, just to be punctual.
Is there anything you'd like to add that we have not yet covered?
I'll say this. For me, it was an incredible experience. The military is not for everybody, but it could be an incredible thing for a lot of people, and the military does need good people. War sucks, I will say that. War is not a good thing, but war is big business. It keeps the machine running.